Hello, Aries. Welcome to your monthly zodiac reading for the month of June 2025. We are halfway through the year and time is flying by, nor is it going to slow down anytime soon. However, June does seem to be a much more, it's a little bit more of an easier month as far as planetary transitions go. So let's find out what your focus is, or the main theme for your month or for your sign for the month of June. Shine your lights. Shine your light. That's interesting. You guys really have no issue shining your light. You have no problem kind of being that forward leading energy, right? So let's see. I'm going to pull this deck first. As always, please make sure that you, this is predominantly for Aries risings. So please make sure that you check your rising sign for what energy is showing up for you during this month. However, if you have a lot of planetary aspects within a particular sign, don't hesitate to check out that sign as well. Here in this first week, the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so here in this first week, we have Venus moving into the sign of Taurus. Taurus is her, or Venus is Taurus's planetary ruler. Taurus sits in your second house. So this is lovely, right? This is going to be ideally a boost to your second house, which governs things like material possessions, financial investments, money, value systems, and your self-worth, right? So here with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, when she's in reverse, it's almost like she's a little too dependent on other people to either tell her self-worth, to help her illustrate that, or to even reaffirm all of the hard work that she does is worth something, right? She is a working mother. She is also very diligent and intentional with the way she plans ahead. She does so because in her way, it is a way to nurture those that she cares about. But when she's in reverse, she could be going through a separation. She could be, I apologize for that interruption. But with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, my initial inclination is that maybe she's learning to value that when it comes to tangible experiences like relationships, her health, her finances, maybe there needs to be a little bit more of an opportunity to be a little bit more free flowing. When she's in reverse, she can be very, very controlling. And that typically is because there is some sort of wound being triggered, maybe around self-worth or lack even, right? She's not lacking enough finances. She's lacking help in some way. She's lacking finances. She's lacking something. So as a result, she's trying to overcompensate by controlling more of a specific area. However, with Venus moving into Taurus, ideally we'll see this energy shift just a little bit. Okay. Here in the second week, and also a notable mention here in this first week, Venus is going to be conjunct or blending energies with Chiron within your first sign. So this could trigger some wounds around financial stability, ultimately being a defining factor for how you feel about yourself. So just be mindful that that could be why the Queen of Pentacles is in reverse, is that Venus, before it moves into Taurus, is going to be sitting right next to Chiron, the wounded healer. Now, a conjunction is a very positive aspect, and these two energies sitting next to each other, it's essentially kind of revealing this wound so that you can take necessary steps on addressing it, so the impact of it in the future is lessened. Here in the second week, we've got the Five of Swords in reverse. This can really represent wanting to compromise or needing to make compromises, maybe with how you think and how you speak. We have Mercury moving into the sign of Cancer on the 8th. Mercury, the planet of thoughts, ideas, communication, is moving into your sign, the 4th house. This is your house of home, right? So if there have been disagreements or struggles or conversations that felt maybe a little bit combative with members of the home or even members of the family, then here there could be a little bit of guilt, maybe guilt around, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Maybe, maybe I was a little too forward with how I speak. Aries, you guys, your energy is very bold and it's very quick to say something. So the 5 of Swords in reverse can represent maybe feeling a little guilty for things that were said or done, or just having some sort of internal conflict with what it is that you're wanting to say. Kind of maybe choosing to hold your tongue until a more appropriate time. Mercury moving into that sign of Cancer could provide that opportunity to speak truth in a much more gentle and kind way. We are also going to have that planet sitting right next to Jupiter at the 29th degree, which is kind of an ending. It's called an anaretic degree or a karmic degree, and it represents emotional endings, right? Things that are kind of passing through and that final goodbye before it moves into another sign. On the 9th, we also have Jupiter, the planet of luck, abundance, and expansion, moving into the sign of Cancer. So it could be that when Jupiter moves into the sign of Cancer, there is a very expansive energy felt. Maybe I don't know, maybe somebody else is coming into your home, right? But there's like this feeling of expansion. And when you have a sign that is so benevolent as Jupiter moving into a sign that is very kind and nurturing like Cancer, those energies do kind of blend very well together. On the 11th, we also have the full moon within the sign of Sagittarius occurring on the 11th. So full moons are a buildup of energy. The light of the moon is representing or revealing things that you need to see. For you guys, Sagittarius sits in your 9th house. This is your house of expansion. This is about cultural experiences, long distance travel, higher learning, spiritual, religious belief systems, but ultimately kind of like higher education, things of philosophy, things of that nature. So this house could be illuminated, but the ruler of that house is now currently sitting in your 4th house. So it could be that there will be a tie between higher learning and self-expansion, kind of through opening your mind, that ties into things going on at home. Here in the 3rd week, we've got, the 6 of Pentacles. Very nice. So it looks as if the energy is now beginning to balance itself out. The 6 of Pentacles represents reciprocated energy, right? What it is that you're putting and investing your time in is exactly what it is that we get back, right? And so this energy is direct, which is very lovely. Mars, the planet of action, your ruling planet, is moving into the sign of Virgo, right? So it could be that this almost feels like very much with the home, that maybe things need to be a little less taciturn or tactical when it comes to things going on within the home or things going on close to you. But then when Mars moves into the sign of Virgo, which is your daily habits, it almost feels like there's going to be I keep imagining like someone turning up a dial just a little bit when it comes to your daily habits and your health habits. It could be that you go back to, maybe you're allowing yourself to be a little more free flowing here at the beginning of the month, and then here at the end of the month or here in the 3rd week, you're like, okay, now it's time to get back to business. Now it's time to begin to continue to invest in the things that I want to receive back. Okay. Mars moving into Virgo is on the 17th. On the 21st is when we begin Cancer season. So your 4th house does become the center focus and the center energy. That is also when we will experience the summer solstice. Okay. But and maybe like things in the home, if there are disagreements with how responsibilities are divided up within the home, it could be that there are disagreements around that. Maybe you feel a little overworked. You feel like people are being a little too dependent on you to do things here in the home. Then here in the second week, that kind of builds up and choices or things get said. Then here in the third week, it almost like kind of harmony gets brought back into the picture, and now these responsibilities or investments on multiple people just kind of flow evenly to where everyone is kind of happy. I hope that makes sense. But here in the last week, this is when we will experience a new moon within the sign of Cancer at a Cancer degree. So new moons are a blank slate. They are an opportunity to set intentions. And the new moon in Cancer could be around setting intentions around your home. Again, this is happening at a Cancer degree. So the home, internal safety, emotional stability is very much at play here. The Eight of Cups. Either you choosing to go on some sort of, or maybe you choosing to walk away from something. And I keep even feeling maybe someone is leaving the home. Someone could be leaving the home, right? But allowing this energy of emotional release, right? Allowing this energy maybe of, I need to do, I'm trying to figure out what it is that I want to say because I can feel the energy, but I'm having a hard time articulating it. Kind of like going on this spiritual journey when it comes to either your emotional safety or your physical safety, emotional security, and again things within the home, right? Maybe you're looking for a new home. You're looking for a new home, and maybe compromises are having to be made that you don't like. And you're going off maybe on this journey, this internal journey, to really discover more about what it is that you need when it comes to your home environment. Now, on the 26th, Mercury, again, the planet of thoughts, ideas, and communication, is moving into the sign of Leo, which is your fifth house. This governs things like passion, creativity, children, even children moving on. Maybe someone is leaving the home. But Mercury moving into the sign of Leo, thoughts, ideas, and communication around your house of self-expression, creativity, children, and even like romantic affairs. So let's see. And with Saturn just moving itself into your first house, that has a lot to do with self-discipline, right? And it could be with things changing and expanding, particularly maybe within your home life. It's going to require a little bit more discipline, right? Saturn brings about lessons that have to be learned for our highest good, as challenging and as painful as they can be sometimes. Here in the first week, the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. The Four of Pentacles. Like I said, doing too much with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, right? Because here we've got the Four of Swords, needing to take that rest, needing almost kind of like a mental break so that clarity can come in. And then the Knight of Cups in reverse. Because the energy, it's not going anywhere. The Knight of Cups in reverse. Knights are the action takers of the tarot. And it could be that the actions that you're consistently taking are no longer fulfilling to you in the way that they once were. And so maybe worry or stress, feeling like you were just doing too much, maybe, or that too many people are dependent on you for things, is requiring you to be like, you know what, I need a mental break because this energy is not moving. It's not going in the direction that I want to go. It's no longer fulfilling in the way that it once was. And I really need to reevaluate what my values are. Venus moving into the sign of Taurus. Taurus governs tangible value, what it is that we tangibly value. And so does Venus, right? So this could be a week for you to actually take the time to reevaluate what it is that you actually value and what it is that you really want to invest your time in. Here in the second week, this is the week of the full moon within the sign of Sagittarius. Six of Swords, or excuse me, Six of Wands, and the Queen of Pentacles direct. Because these both equal a sense of success. Like the Six of Wands, when it's direct, represents success, accolades from the people around you, feeling like people are showing their appreciation and their support. And now the energy of the Queen of Pentacles has kind of redirected herself where she can kind of release that grip. So it could be that with the full moon in Sagittarius, things get said. And even though you're feeling guilty about what was said, it needed to be said because now the energy itself feels more supportive and it ultimately redirects and allows you to focus more on what it is that you value, what it is that you really want to invest your time in when it comes to the Queen of Pentacles. So that's really nice. Even though you're feeling guilty, a lot of the time, some of us can really feel guilty about when we have to have challenging conversations. We tend to feel guilty about that. But ultimately, what happens is that it needs to be said, that discomfort needs to be felt. And Aries, like, you require honesty above all else, even if that honesty is painful, even if that honesty comes with a little bit of guilt. Like, I'm sorry that what I said hurts your feelings, or I'm sorry that it has made you feel a certain way, but this is how I feel and it needed to be said, right? Here in the third week, the Six of Pentacles, the Ten of Wands, and the Eight of Pentacles. It almost feels like with the Six of Pentacles, balance has been restored. Like you're still investing in the things that you actually want, the things that you actually value, and the things that you actually want to see come to fruition. But it does require and come with a lot of responsibility. And so it could be that you're taking time to learn how to master that, master handling the responsibility while investing in what it is that you're wanting to see come to fruition. Or it could simply be mastering new ways of refinement, right? I've got a lot going on my plate. I know I'm good at certain things, but how can I simplify it? How can I refine certain things so they don't take up so much of my time? Okay. And then it's going to come to allowing this energy to balance itself out. Here in the last week, the week of the new moon in Cancer, the Eight of Wands in reverse, and the Seven of Swords in reverse. So yeah, the new moon in Cancer is actually going to try to get you to go on a little bit of like an internal journey, go on maybe a spiritual journey. But with the Eight of Wands in reverse, it could be asking you to reflect on actions and things that you've taken that didn't land where you wanted it to go. Like the the actions you took didn't result in what it is that you wanted to see. And then here, the Seven of Swords in reverse can allow you to come to a sense of greater self-awareness when it comes to how you take action towards things and how you approach certain subjects and how you approach certain projects and how you approach maybe your relationships or work, things of that nature. Because here again, the Queen of Pentacles in reverse can represent a work-life imbalance. Okay. Also, if this is someone leaving the home, someone walking away, there's a lot of miscommunication, maybe walking away from miscommunication, because that miscommunication is revealing who someone truly is and where they stand in your life. Okay. We did that one. We'll try this deck. Let's do this deck. And then ultimately see. And then I want to do something. I'm trying not to make these as long as they've been in the past, but I want to get an affirmation for you guys for the month, an affirmation that you can use for the month. Here in this first week, the Swan Queen in reverse, transformation, intuition, and patience, but she's in reverse, so it can represent that she's being very impatient and that there's a need for more patience when it comes to maybe ideas of success and ideas of fulfillment. The Web Weaver, synchronicity, divine intelligence, cause and effect, number 4. This is when Jupiter, Mercury and Jupiter move into the sign of Cancer, your 4th house. Okay, so listen to your intuition, especially around the full moon. Watch out for those synchronicities and recognize that every choice you make, for better or worse, will have a consequence, cause and effect. When you dip your finger into that pool of water, whether you do it forcefully, whether you do it gently, it will still create a ripple. You just get to choose the type of ripple. Like if you're shoving your finger into that water, it's going to create a very, I was going to say aggressive ripple, which can happen if we make choices where we are trying to imply force and control, which Aries, Mars energy is prone to do. That very willful, willpower, very headstrong type of energy. If we do that intentionally, we can create a ripple that can be very abrasive. However, if we are much more gentle with how we create that ripple, it's a little bit smoother for everyone involved. It can come from intentional action versus force and will. Here, the Spiral Dancer, circuitous route and perception in reverse. This can really represent that certain actions that you may be taking may not be as fulfilling as you think they should be, right? You're kind of going to the beat of your own drum, so much so that you've lost step with everyone around you, right? And it could be asking you to maybe invest a little bit more into your relationships, right? Maybe refine, master things like communication, master creating a harmonious work-life balance. Because you've got a lot of responsibility, but it could be that with Venus moving into the sign of Taurus, you could be reevaluating what it is that you actually value. Here in the last week, the Dragon's Duel, inner conflict, morality, and conscious choice. This is card number 23. 2 and 3 creates 5. 5 is change, challenge. So yeah, if there's miscommunication here around the week of the new moon, It could simply be something that you need to think and ponder on, because someone is either you are coming into a self-realization or someone around you is revealing who it is that they really are. And you may need to reflect on that, and so that you can make conscious choices versus acting irrationally and impulsively. So I truly hope this helped, Aries. I hope you guys have an incredible month, and we will see you in July.